happening today. Second city in our state wants an independent investigation into potential credit card use in City Hall.
Yeah, first New Britain, you remember, and now Ansonia. Your reporter Anna Stansfield live there this morning. Anna, we're told the current mayor is asking for an independent investigation into the previous administration.
Hey guys, good morning. That's right. Tonight he's going to ask the city's Board of Alders to move forward with this investigation into what he calls potential abuse of city funds that happened before he took over office. And the law firm he wants to take over this investigation is the exact same one that looked into former New Britain Mayor Aaron Stewart's spending practices. Mayor Frank Tiska says a Freedom of Information request revealed potential abuse before he started, including the possible personal use of city credit cards, possible misuse of city vehicle and fuel purchases, and potential misuse of City Hall for political activities during work hours. These are some serious allegations, but because of the ongoing investigation, Tiska couldn't tell us how much money may have been spent, by who, or for what. Meanwhile, former Mayor David Cassetti tells us he welcomes the investigation. His attorney is telling Channel 3 they plan on filing their own Freedom of Information request to find out how much this independent investigation will cost the city, saying, quote, "It is a political witch hunt, and it all stems back from when the current mayor was removed from his position as police commissioner by Mayor Cassetti." Now, the Board of Alders will decide whether or not they want to move forward with this investigation in their meeting at 7 o'clock tonight. And we've heard from several taxpayers in town who have told us that they're hoping they do decide to move forward, as they now have several questions about what their money has been used for. I'm your reporter live in Ansonia, Anna Stansfield, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.